Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Town Manager and COVID update. I'm James Milan, and I am joined by our Town Manager, Adam Chapdelaine. Adam, hello.
Hello, James. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And of course, we're going to start where we always do, getting a COVID update, which is different in substance these days, happily for all of us. But let's start with the update, and then maybe get on to talking a little bit about town meeting matters and other little things. So, can you start us off with the update?
Absolutely. So I think today's update really focuses on being a reopening update. That we're still very concerned with vaccination, right? We want people to continue to get vaccines, though Arlington's numbers keep getting better and better. And when we look at how many people have received at least a first dose, it looks like within a couple weeks' time, we'll be approaching 70% of the population has been vaccinated. And considering those ages, 0 to 12 still can't be vaccinated, those are pretty good numbers. So we're feeling pretty good about that. Health and Human Services will continue to pay attention to that, but I think as compared, to the state and certainly the nation as a whole, those are good statistics. So since we last spoke, quite a bit has happened in terms of both the CDC and more locally the governor making decisions and lifting restrictions. That has prompted, frankly, I think a faster reopening than we anticipated, certainly faster than you and I had spoken about most recently. So we are working towards returning folks, town employees to offices as of June 1st and reopening town offices as of June 15th when the state of emergency is lifted. We're planning on asking those that are unvaccinated to remain masked when they enter town offices, and doing the same within offices, those employees that are unvaccinated to remain masked as well. And I know businesses are grappling with making these similar decisions about whether or not to require masks within their premises. I think there was a period of frustration after both the CDC and governor made these announcements, in that they sort of devolved some of these decisions to the local level, creating the potential for problematic interactions with either patrons or residents, depending on the situation. But I feel like, as we've done from the start, we've worked through this with the team, and I feel like we're in a good position to reopen and work our way back towards normalcy over the next few weeks to months.
Very, very good news indeed. Can I ask you a question about the fact that recently we've been hearing that the governor has requested that certain kinds of adaptations that were made to the pandemic, on the local level, relating to government meetings and
Yep.
the ability to do things, in a more kind of hybrid form, and again, that the governor's office has made it clear that they want to extend some of those, and that obviously the legislature has to approve both in the shorter term, and possibly by making these things permanent. Do you have thoughts about or opinions about what would be great from your perspective to be able to hold on to coming out of the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have pretty strong opinions that we want more time for public meetings, as well as extensions of some of the allowances that have been granted to restaurants for their
Right.
outdoor dining and their service of alcohol. I think on the latter, these businesses are still fighting to stay alive and trying to regain their footing as we come out of this pandemic. So allowing them to have a firm ground for that footing, I think, is so important. So I do hope the legislature acts in a timely fashion on those provisions. And as for government meetings, I think we're both excited to start getting people back into meeting rooms, but we also think we need more time before we just toss everybody back into a room and have people feel comfortable, right? So I think the provision or the bill that the governor's filed would extend the current remote meeting provisions until August 15th. And I think locally here, we would love that. We've already begun working with folks from ACMi, as well as internal folks here, on how to do a hybrid meeting to return the board to the chambers, but to welcome in residents and those on the agenda remotely. So I would love the opportunity to be able to do that within this window between now and August 15th. Again, I think if we just have to throw everybody back into the chambers, it's just a recipe for discomfort, depending on what people's comfort level is, their vaccination, their own health conditions, whatever it might be. I'm very hopeful, and I strongly support the governor's legislation, and I hope the legislature passes it in a timely fashion.
Great. You know, sometimes in these updates, it feels like another week. Well, another recognition for Arlington. You know, it's a nice problem to have, obviously. But tell us about the kind of the latest, um, you know, again, recognition that Arlington has received as a community. This relating to bicycle friendliness here.
Yeah, so the latest and greatest is Arlington recently was upgraded from a bronze level bike friendly community to a silver level bike friendly community by I believe they're called the Bike League of the United States. It's a nationwide organization, and it really is an important recognition amongst limited company. Right, there's about 19,000 cities and towns across the entire United States. Only 487 have a designation as a bike friendly community, whether it be platinum, gold, silver, or bronze. Only 104 have silver. So I think it's clear that there's always more and better we can do to make Arlington bike friendly, pedestrian friendly, transit friendly. But it's a great acknowledgement of tremendous work that's been done over the past 5 or 10 years by volunteer boards like the Arlington Bike Advisory Committee, the Transportation Advisory Committee, and staff like Dan Amstutz, our senior transportation planner, Jenny Raitt as the director of planning and community development, and other members of that team, Wayne Schrenard, Mike Rademacher in engineering and DPW. Again, do we have more to do? Yes. But are we, in a lot of ways, a nationwide leader on building a bike friendly community? We are. And I think it's I actually tweeted yesterday saying this is a great fresh dose of positive perspective in that we always have room for improvement, but we're pretty good. And we should take, we don't have to always bathe or, bask in our own glory, but I think it's appropriate to take a step back from time to time and recognize how far we've come and the good work that so many people have done to get us there.
Yeah, I like the image, kind of in terms of what you were talking about just there. I like the image of maybe what we do is we pat ourselves on the back in a way that pushes us forward.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
You want to be able to enjoy, as you said, the fact that we are doing well, even as you realize that we're not going to just sit on our laurels in that way.
Exactly.
So, all right, well, nice to share yet another accolade that we have received, and thanks for those numbers as well, which really put this kind of recognition into perspective. That does put us in quite elite company, and
Yeah.
good for us. But let's keep going. Um, Speaking of keeping going, Adam, this is the town meeting that will never end. No, it has been going on for a good long while now. I believe you may have had 8 sessions at this point, or something like that. And oh, sorry, 10. See, I missed a week. It's been that long. So, and business is not quite yet done, although there is hope and expectation. I think that a session next Wednesday should put things to bed. Let us hope for all of your sake. But tell us what's been done in this last week or two. You don't have to go over everything, obviously, but just what is of particular note.
So the past few weeks have been primarily focused on zoning issues. And you're right. I think we'll wrap up next Wednesday, barring any surprises, which would be night 11 and a record, at least for my tenure working with the town for Knights of Town meeting. But I think much has been accomplished. Last night, accessory dwelling units were adopted by the town, which I know was a long time effort by both town residents and the redevelopment board and the planning department. Last week, provisions that would allow more uses and the potential for artists live workspace in the industrial districts were passed as a zoning bylaw. And another provision was passed that would allow people on certain non-conforming lots to reconstruct their home entirely if it meets a certain energy efficiency criteria, so that we can try to rebuild a much more energy friendly or potentially even net zero ready home or homes in Arlington. So quite a bit has been accomplished. It has felt at times like progress is slow, but between those 3 articles, some pretty significant and potentially over the long term impactful decisions were made by town meeting. So and last night I'll say we survived through a Zoom crash that may have been related to the thunderstorm. We're not exactly sure what happened, but the patience that both members showed, the moderator and the staff, the IT team that backs this all up in getting everybody back up and running so that we could get through some of this business for town meeting was pretty exceptional. So it's been quite the session, lots of dialogue, lots of good public debate. And like you said, I think we all hope we'll finish up next Wednesday.
Well, it truly was a dramatic thunderstorm at different periods last night, right in that 8 to 11 period when you guys were doing your business. So that would make sense. Anyway, congratulations, as you said, on kind of surviving that. And as an aside, having little to do with anything, I will just say 11 is my favorite number anyway. So the fact that you've now got a new record and it will stand hopefully at 11 sessions and no more, that works well on that level at least. So thank you very much for your time. Get back to work. And I have been speaking, of course, with Adam Chapdelaine, our town manager, as I get to do almost every week. And it is a pleasure to do so, but also we hope that you are deriving good value from these sessions as well. So we thank Adam for joining us as always, and we thank you as well. I'm James Milan. We'll see you next time.